The first thing you learn at the Galactic Command Academy is that humans are trouble. Not the violent kind of trouble, though we can certainly be that when pushed, but the unpredictable, impossible to calculate, makes the math breakdown kind of trouble. That's why I wasn't surprised when Commander Vraxel requested me specifically for this mission. What did surprise me was that every other alien commander in the fleet had fought to get a human on their crew too. I'm Lieutenant Riggs, just Riggs. No fancy titles or clan names like the Cepharians with their 16-syllable lineages. Humans keep it simple, which seems to drive the more methodical species crazy. Maybe that's part of our charm, or why we're so feared. The massive view screen displayed the enemy formation. 37 Draxian warships arranged in a perfect geometric pattern that would have made a mathematician weep with joy. They were beautiful, deadly, and completely predictable. They've deployed the Sigma-7 formation, droned the tactical officer, a gangly Phobosian with skin like polished obsidian. Our defeat probability is calculated at 87.4%. Commander Vraxel's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of stress I'd learned to recognize during our 3 years together. His blue-gray skin rippled with chromatophores, displaying emotions that no translation matrix could fully interpret. "Lieutenant Riggs," he said, his vocal sac pulsing. "What do you see?" That's the moment I understood why humans were so valuable. Every other species on the bridge, the Phobosian tactical officer, the Medusan navigator, even the hyper-intelligent Quantilian communications specialist, they all saw patterns, probabilities, and equations. They saw an 87.4% chance of defeat. I saw something else entirely. "I see a commander who's afraid of the dark," I said, pointing at the formation. "Look at how they're clustered near the binary star. They've left the shadow of the gas giant completely unguarded." The bridge fell silent. 7 different species, representing the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, stared at me like I'd suggested we breathe vacuum for fun. "That's illogical," stammered the tactical officer. "The shadow provides no strategic advantage. Our sensors work perfectly fine in darkness." I smiled. "Yours do. Theirs don't." Vraxel's chromatophores shifted to a deep purple, the color of realization. The Draxians evolved on a tidally locked planet. Their natural vision is adapted for constant daylight. "And their technology compensates for this evolutionary quirk," I added, "but compensation isn't the same as elimination. They trust their tech, but instinct runs deeper than training." The commander turned to me, his massive frame towering over mine. "You're suggesting we attack through the darkness they've subconsciously avoided. I'm suggesting we exploit a fear they don't even know they have." That's when I noticed every alien on the bridge was staring at me with the same expression, a mixture of horror and fascination. I'd seen it before on dozens of worlds across the galaxy. It wasn't just respect. It wasn't just fear. It was the look you give something you don't understand but desperately need. As Vraxel ordered the ship to prepare for my insane plan, I couldn't help wondering, what did the other commanders know that made them so desperate to have a human aboard? What were we heading into that required the galaxy's most unpredictable species? The answer came sooner than I expected, as his second fleet emerged from hyperspace directly behind us. Cloaking signatures detected. 43 vessels. Configuration unknown, the Medusan navigator reported, her serpentine appendages dancing across the holographic controls. Even through her typically stoic demeanor, I could detect a tremor of fear. "Tactical assessment," Vraxel demanded. The Phobosian tactical officer's typically fluid movements became jerky, anxious. "They don't match any known configuration in our database, Commander. They're not broadcasting any identification signals." I felt my blood run cold. Every ship in the galaxy, even pirate vessels, broadcasts some kind of identifier. It was practically hardwired into the technology. You couldn't build a starship without it, unless you weren't from this galaxy. Outnumbered and sandwiched between 2 hostile forces, I muttered, "Not how I planned to spend my day." Vraxel's chromatophores flashed a pattern I'd never seen before. Later, I'd learn it was an ancient warning sign, something embedded in his species' genetic memory from before they achieved spaceflight. "Lieutenant Riggs," he said with uncharacteristic softness, "this is why you're here." I glanced at him. "Sir, 3 years ago, High Command ordered every capital ship to recruit at least one human officer. It wasn't a diversity initiative, as we claimed." His voice dropped even lower. It was preparation. The rest of the bridge crew looked away, suddenly finding their consoles fascinating. They'd known. All this time, they'd known something was coming. Preparation for what exactly? I asked, though I was starting to piece it together. The rush to include humans in every command structure across the Galactic Alliance. The odd training scenarios we've been running. The emphasis on unconventional tactics. For them, Vraxel said, gesturing toward the unknown fleet, High Command intercepted a probe 13 years ago. What they found inside changed everything. A warning from a civilization that had already fallen. The main screen shifted, displaying a recording I wasn't authorized to see. A being, vaguely humanoid but with translucent skin, that revealed a complex network of luminescent organs beneath. Its eyes, all 7 of them, darted frantically as it spoke in a language I didn't recognize. The translation matrix struggled, but fragments came through. "They cannot be predicted. Standard combat algorithms useless. Only species with chaotic thought patterns survived initial. Seek the humans. They are your only." The recording cut off abruptly. "That's all we have," Vraxel said. The probe was damaged, most of its data corrupted. But the message was clear enough. Whatever these invaders are, conventional tactical thinking, the kind every advanced species in our alliance relies on, is useless against them. "Except humans," I said, understanding dawning. "Because we're unpredictable." "Because you're gloriously, maddeningly irrational," the commander corrected. "Your species still relies on instinct, on gut feelings, on what you call hunches. The rest of us evolved beyond that, optimized our decision-making for efficiency and logic. We thought it made us superior." The Quantillion communications specialist, who had been silent until now, spoke up with her crystalline voice. "Your species still dreams, Lieutenant Riggs. Do you know how rare that is? Most intelligent species lose the ability to imagine the impossible once they achieve interstellar travel. It becomes unnecessary." A chill ran down my spine as the implications hit me. We weren't just crew members. We were weapons, the one thing in the galaxy these invaders couldn't calculate. The ship shuddered as the first volley of fire from the unknown fleet struck our shields. At the same time, the Draxian warships began to move, responding to the new threat. "They're changing formation," the tactical officer reported. "Both fleets are. They're ignoring us. They're engaging each other." I stared at the tactical display, at the strange dance of death unfolding before us. And that's when I noticed it. A pattern in the seemingly random movements of the unknown ships. Not a tactical pattern, but something else. Something familiar. "Commander," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, "I think they're talking to each other." "Talking." Vraxel moved closer to my console, his massive frame casting a shadow over the display. "Explain." I pointed to the tactical screen where the unknown ships moved in their strange patterns. "It's not a battle formation. Look at the way they adjust position. It's too deliberate. Like sign language, but with starships." The bridge fell silent as everyone watched the dance of death unfolding before us. The Draxians were taking heavy losses, their perfect formations breaking apart under the assault of the unknown fleet. "Can you interpret what they're saying?" Vraxel asked, his voice hushed. I shook my head. "No, but I recognize communication when I see it. They're coordinating, but not like any fleet I've ever seen. It's almost artistic." The Quantillion communications specialist moved to my side, her crystalline form reflecting the light from the tactical display in rainbow patterns. Lieutenant Riggs is correct, she said after studying the movements. There is a 92.7% probability that this is a form of communication, but it operates outside our standard encryption protocols. If it's a language, I said, maybe we can talk back. Vraxel's chromatophores flashed with alarm. Absolutely not. Protocol dictates. Protocol won't save us here, Commander, I interrupted, knowing I was overstepping but unable to stop myself. We're watching two forces tear each other apart. Soon enough, the winner will turn their attention to us. Before Vraxel could respond, the ship's communication system pinged. Incoming transmission, the Quantillion announced, from the HFY flagship. The commander hesitated, then nodded. On screen, the holographic display flickered, revealing a HFY war leader. Their reptilian features were taut with strain, scales glistening with a fluid I recognized as their species' equivalent of sweat. Alliance vessel, the HFY hissed. We propose temporary cessation of hostilities. Vraxel's chromatophores displayed skepticism. You were prepared to destroy us moments ago. Priorities change when faced with extinction, the HFY replied coldly. Our sensor data suggests your vessel carries a human officer. All eyes turned to me. The HFY war leader's vertical pupils dilated slightly when they saw me. We need your human, they said without preamble. The invaders' attack patterns follow no logical sequence our tactical computers can analyze. We've lost 30% of our fleet in 8 minutes. My mind raced. The HFYs, our enemies just moments ago, were now requesting my help. Something about this didn't add up. Commander, I said quietly to Vraxel, may I speak with you privately? We stepped away from the main console. I don't trust this, I whispered. The HFYs have their own human advisors. Their empire has had trade agreements with Earth for decades. Vraxel's eyes narrowed. Are you certain? Absolutely. Something's not right. The commander turned back to the screen. War leader, explain why you require our human officer when you have your own human advisors. A flicker of something, surprise, perhaps frustration, crossed the HFY's face. Our humans were lost in the initial attack. Lost. The way they said it sent chills down my spine. Commander, the Medusan navigator interrupted urgently. The unknown fleet has ceased engaging the HFYs. They're moving toward us. Shields to maximum, Vraxel ordered. Prepare evasive maneuvers. But the ships didn't fire. Instead, they arranged themselves in a perfect circle around our vessel, maintaining a distance of exactly 5,000 kilometers. What are they doing? The tactical officer asked, his voice barely audible. The answer came in the form of a new transmission, not audio or video, but a direct data packet that somehow bypassed our security protocols. The ship's systems translated it automatically, projecting a simple message in the center of the bridge. Return our kindred. The bridge erupted in confused murmurs. Vraxel silenced them with a gesture. What does that mean? Who are they referring to? I felt a strange resonance, like a tuning fork being struck inside my mind. Fragments of memories I couldn't place flashed through my consciousness. Dreams of stars seen from impossible angles, whispered conversations I couldn't remember having. I think, I said slowly, the realization dawning with terrifying clarity. They're talking about me. At that moment, the HFY transmission cut off abruptly. Through the view screen, we watched in horror as the remaining ships began to move in erratic patterns that mirrored the unknown fleet's movements perfectly. They've been compromised, the tactical officer reported. The HFY fleet is now being controlled remotely. Vraxel turned to me, his chromatophores displaying a color I'd never seen before. Not fear, not anger, but something deeper, more primal. Lieutenant Riggs, I need you to be honest with me now. Have you ever experienced missing time? Dreams you couldn't explain? Thoughts that didn't feel like your own? The question hit me like a physical blow. How did he know about the dreams? The strange gaps in my childhood memories that my parents always explained away as just being tired or daydreaming. "Why are you asking me this, Commander?" I managed to say, my throat suddenly dry. Instead of answering, Vraxel turned to the Phobosian tactical officer. "Initiate protocol firewall. Authorization Vraxel Omega-7." The tactical officer's obsidian skin paled to slate gray. "Sir, that protocol is only to be used if—" "Do it now," Vraxel commanded. I felt a sudden pressure in the room, like the air was being compressed. A faint humming sound emanated from beneath the deck plating. "What's protocol firewall?" I asked, though I was starting to suspect I already knew the answer. "It's not designed to keep others out, Lieutenant," Vraxel said quietly. "It's designed to keep something in." The humming beneath the deck plates grew louder. A shimmering energy field materialized around me, so faint I could barely see it except where it distorted the light. I instinctively reached out to touch it and felt a gentle resistance, like pushing against water. "What is this?" I demanded, my voice steady despite the panic rising in my chest. "Commander, explain yourself." Vraxel's 4 eyes blinked in that sequential pattern that indicated deep stress. 17 years ago, our long-range explorers encountered a quantum anomaly in the Cygnus arm. When they investigated, they found a vessel unlike any we'd seen before, drifting in damage. Inside were— he hesitated, chromatophores shifting to a solemn blue. Infants. Hundreds of them. Human infants. The bridge fell silent. I could hear my own heartbeat, too fast, too loud. "That's impossible," I said. "Humans haven't developed technology to reach the Cygnus arm. We've barely left our own solar system." "Precisely," Vraxel said. "These weren't human colonists. These were humans who had never been to Earth." My mind raced, trying to process what he was telling me. "Are you saying I'm—" "You were among them," he confirmed, "along with 326 others. You were all approximately 6 months old by human development standards. The Galactic Council made a decision. You would be placed with human families, raised as their own, with no knowledge of your origins." The Quantillion communications specialist stepped forward. "Your human families were told you were orphans from colony worlds. They never knew the truth." "Why?" I whispered. "Why hide us among humans?" "Because we needed to know what you would become," Vraxel said. "Whether nature or nurture would prove stronger, whether you would develop like humans or something else." The tactical display flashed red as the formerly Draxian ships, now controlled by the unknown fleet, began to move. They weren't attacking. They were forming a second ring around our vessel, perfectly concentric with the first. "They're amplifying something," the tactical officer reported, his obsidian skin now almost white with fear. "Energy readings are off the charts, but it's not weapons fire." I felt it then, a resonance that bypassed my ears and vibrated directly in my mind. Like a song I had forgotten I knew, played on instruments that shouldn't exist. "They're calling to me," I said, the realization hitting me with absolute certainty. "I can hear them." Vraxel moved closer to the energy field containing me. "What are they saying?" I closed my eyes, trying to translate the sensation into words. "It's not exactly language, it's memories. They're showing me who they are, who I am." My eyes snapped open. "Commander, they're not invaders. They're searching for their children." The ship shuddered violently. Warning klaxons blared as the tactical officer shouted over them. "They've locked on with some kind of tractor beam. Our engines can't break free." "Lieutenant Riggs," Vraxel said urgently, "if what you say is true, you need to communicate with them. Tell them we mean no harm." I placed my hand against the energy field. "I think that's why Protocol Firewall was created, not just to contain me, but to block me from communicating back." The Phobosian tactical officer looked at Vraxel. "Sir, if we deactivate the protocol, we have no guarantee the lieutenant won't be compromised." "If we don't," Vraxel countered, "we'll all be destroyed. They've already demonstrated what they can do to the Draxian fleet. Another violent shudder rocked the ship. The structural integrity alarms began to wail. Hull breach on decks 7 through 12, the Medusan navigator reported. Emergency force fields holding, but we're losing power. Vraxel made his decision. Deactivate protocol firewall. Lieutenant Riggs, whatever happens next, remember you were one of us too. The main screen split to show Admiral Koros, the head of Alliance Fleet Operations. Her amphibious features were set in grim determination. Commander Vraxel, our sensors indicate protocol firewall has been deactivated. Explain. Before Vraxel could answer, I stepped forward. Admiral, this is Lieutenant Riggs. The unknown fleet isn't hostile. They're here for their children, for people like me. Admiral Koros's eyes narrowed. Lieutenant, you've been compromised. Commander Vraxel, reactivate containment immediately. If you engage, I warned, they will defend themselves. You've seen what happened to the Draxians. The Admiral's voice turned cold. What we saw was an unknown force destroy one enemy fleet and capture another. Now that same force is attempting to take one of our officers. This will be considered an act of war. I felt panic rising, not just my own, but echoed through the connection to the fleet surrounding us. They'd come in peace, searching for their lost children, but they would fight if threatened. Admiral, I pleaded, there's something you need to know. We aren't the only ones they placed among humans. There are more of us throughout Alliance space, including on your vessels. Koros went very still. What are you saying, Lieutenant? Every ship in the Alliance fleet has at least one human officer, I said. But not all humans are from Earth. Some of us are something else. And right now, all across your fleet, they're waking up. The ship's sensors chimed an alert as, one by one, the Alliance vessels began to power down their weapons. On the tactical display, I could see their human officers standing on their bridges, connected to the same consciousness now flowing through me. They're not taking control, I explained, seeing the fear in the Admiral's eyes. They're showing us the truth about who we are, about who you are. And what truth is that? Vraxel asked quietly. I turned to him, the full realization finally crystallizing in my mind. That we're not so different after all. Humans, aliens, whatever my people are, we're all connected. And the reason every alien commander chooses a human. I felt a smile form on my lips, though the expression felt strange with the ancient awareness now flowing through me. It's because deep down, you've always known. Known what? Admiral Koros demanded. The ship suddenly lurched forward, drawn inexorably toward the center of the spiral formation. Through the view screen, a point of brilliance formed where all the lines of ships converged, a doorway opening to somewhere else. I looked back at the frightened faces of my crew, my friends, and felt a pang of regret for what I was about to say. You've always known that humans aren't what they appear to be, and neither is Earth. The brilliant gateway pulsed before us, a kaleidoscope of impossible colors swirling at its center. Through it, I glimpsed fragments of another reality. Vast structures orbiting distant stars, beams of light, and thought moving through the cosmos like dancers in an ancient ballet. What do you mean Earth isn't what it appears to be? Vraxel asked, his voice barely audible over the humming energy that filled the bridge. I turned to face my commander, my friend, one last time. The dual awareness inside me had settled into something new, neither fully human nor fully other, but a bridge between worlds. Earth is a sanctuary, I explained, created millions of years ago when my people first encountered yours. They saw potential in early humans, beings whose minds weren't bound by pure logic, who could dream and imagine. My ancestors merged a part of themselves with humanity, creating a lineage that would one day help unite the galaxy. Admiral Koros's face on the view screen had lost its hardness. You're saying humans are hybrids, part of your species. Not all humans. Just enough to ensure the connection would never be completely lost. I gestured toward the ships surrounding us. When the ancient war that scattered my people finally ended, they began searching for their lost children. For us, the Quantillion communications specialist approached me, her crystalline form reflecting the gateway's light in dazzling patterns. That's why humans are so unpredictable, why your thought patterns can't be mapped with our algorithms, and why every commander wants a human officer, Vraxel added, understanding dawning in his 4 eyes. We sensed something in you, an echo of something greater than ourselves. The ship shuddered again as we drew closer to the gateway. I could feel the pull growing stronger, calling me home to a place I'd never known yet somehow remembered. What happens now? The Medusan navigator asked, her serpentine form coiling anxiously. Will you leave with them? I smiled, feeling a certainty I'd never experienced before. Not all of us. Some will go, to learn who we truly are. Others will stay, to maintain the connection between our peoples. I looked directly at Admiral Koros. This isn't an ending, Admiral. It's a beginning. The start of a true alliance, one built on understanding rather than fear. The tension that had gripped the bridge slowly dissipated. Around us, the captured Draxian ships were being released, their control systems returning to normal. The Alliance vessels powered their weapons back up but kept them offline. A gesture of trust. The dreaded allies, Vraxel said softly. That's what the Draxians called humans in their ancient texts. Not because they feared what humans would do, but because they feared what humans would reveal. That we're all connected, I finished for him. That the boundaries we create between species, between civilizations, are illusions. I turned toward the gateway, feeling the gentle tug of destiny. I need to go with them, Commander. At least for a while. There's so much to learn, so much to remember. Vraxel's chromatophores shifted to a deep, rich purple, a color I now recognized as respect. The Alliance will await your return, Lieutenant. Don't worry, I said, grinning. You'll still have humans on your ships, and now you know why they're so valuable. I stepped toward the gateway, feeling it respond to my presence. They're not just your officers or your tactical advisors. They're your bridge to the stars beyond your charts, to civilizations older than time itself. As I approached the threshold between worlds, I felt a final surge of connection, not just to the beings waiting beyond the gateway, but to every member of the crew who had become my family. Their thoughts touched mine, a chorus of farewell and good wishes. Remember, I said, my voice carrying clearly despite the energy now swirling around me. When you look at the humans on your bridges, in your crews, throughout the galaxy, you're not seeing an unpredictable species evolve from primates on a backwater world. I stepped into the gateway, feeling my consciousness expand beyond the confines of my human body, beyond the limitations of what I had believed myself to be. You're seeing the universe looking back at you, reminding you that we were never truly alone. The gateway flared brilliantly, then collapsed in on itself, leaving only stars in its wake. But across the Alliance fleet, on every bridge where a human officer stood, a faint echo remained. A connection that would never again be broken. A promise of wonders yet to come.